And so what you're going to do today, first of all, we appreciate you and all that you've done for us and that you really care about the students. In fact, those who went on internships last summer, Zach being one of them, they knew you better than we knew you, even though we had you in class, we had you at the workshop, we got to know you pretty well, but they had you day after day, right? For 8 weeks. And so they really care about your development. So thank you, Jennifer. And she's going to talk to us about internship opportunities at the Griffiss Institute.
Great, thank you. Appreciate that. Put this maybe where I can read my notes, right? So first thing too, I did bring some goodies. So make sure in a little bit you get with Miss Sonia and I. We've got some stickers, some notebooks, some pens with the new Viceroy branding. You know, before I start, like Bernie said, my name is Jennifer McCullough. I work at the Griffiss Institute, and my previous role was the Viceroy project lead. I'm still kind of doing project lead, but I'm moving into DoD engagement, which basically means that I'm going to go out and look for DoD host sites across the U.S. For our interns as they come through our program. It's a 2-year program, and in year 1 we bring you to Rome, New York, and then year 2 we take you out to different sites. Like Zach this year is going to go to Edmond Air Force Base. So this will be a little bit interactive. So I don't want to be the only person talking, okay? And Zach can attest, he got to see me for 78 days straight last summer. I don't know if that was a great thing, a bad thing. I hope it was wonderful. Our internship is a lot of fun, and we're very excited for the folks that are coming. I think there's I think about 6 or 7 of you in this room that'll be with us this summer. But there we go. So the first thing I want to kind of ask some of you guys, this is my question to you, and Zach, you can't answer, but for those of you in the room, you know that you're part of Viceroy, right? So, right, you know you're part of the Viceroy program. Can you tell me what Viceroy is? Anyone? Okay, well, that's what the acronym stands for. That's awesome. But does anybody know exactly what it means, other than you hear that there's this funding that WSU got along with some other universities, and it's a Viceroy program? Yes, ma'am.
It's kind of functionally like a running start in a way, but for college students, where it's basically meant to guide them directly into STEM like fields.
Okay, I love the running start piece. That's awesome. I saw another hand. Yes.
Wasn't it a government program to educate cybersecurity?
Very good. It is. So I want to give you guys a little bit of that background so you understand what Viceroy is as we talk about it. So Viceroy was established under the NDAA for fiscal year 19. And it's a program to establish cyber institutes at institutes of higher learning. There's some pieces there that we ask every university that puts in for the proposal, as Dr. Van Wee knows. They need to be a research university. They need to have a consortium of universities. I know there's a couple of you from Montana State here, right? I know we had Central Washington University, Columbia Basin College, as well as University of Idaho. The other piece that we needed is there must be an ROTC program at one of those universities, and we really want them to engage as well in an HBCU, an MSI, or a TI, because the Department of Defense on a whole is looking at diversifying, having, meeting those DEI initiatives. I've got two going here. So as you can see on this one here, I don't know, are you in one of these pictures, Zach? Maybe, maybe not. But these are some of our folks last year. Some of our speakers, these are our 6 universities. We have Mississippi State, Northeastern, Virginia Tech, University of Albany, University of Detroit Mercy, and Washington State. And you can see up here kind of their consortium of universities. Viceroy, as we said, it was created to increase the quantity and quality of students who possess job-ready DoD cybersecurity skills upon graduation. The approach here is to augment traditional college curricula by providing that hands-on experience, which is those internship pieces, some of these CySER boot camps, and to make sure that these learning opportunities are uniquely tailored to the workforce demands of the armed forces, the Department of Defense. So you kind of see our little piece there. And DoD is not just active service. We are looking to see those students who are going into active military service, but also those are going to be supporting our military members, that mission, and as well our defense industrial base. So that's our companies like PNNL or Lockheed, some of those types of businesses. We have several partners. Griffiss Institute, that's me. AFRL is Miss Sonia. OUSDRNE, I think Bernie, you've met, and ESPA, you guys have met. CJ, you've met Mr. Meshag. Those of you coming this summer will get to meet him as well. And then we work with academia and internships. And then again, that piece there's the armed forces and DoD. So that kind of gives you that pipeline. Here's some of our, these are our, call them our government. So they're kind of our clients. So again, Mr. CJ Meshag, Ms. Sonia Clement, and Ms. Rachel Mappy, and you'll meet Ms. Rachel, those of you who will be here this summer. There's that map again. This is just a little bit about the universities. I'm going to kind of skip over this because I really want to get into that mission and vision of Viceroy, especially for some of you that'll be coming. Let me just make, oops, let me make my notes bigger. I apologize. Touchscreens sometimes are my nemesis, right? They don't always work the way I want them to. So Maven, mission, vision, and core. I didn't catch everything, Sonia, so I don't know if you talked about this piece yesterday or not. So I just want to talk about this. This one's pretty self-explanatory. That vision is, strengthening the military, civilian, and industrial-based sectors. The core values here, we're talking about diverse technical acumen, high-stakes problem solving, effective leadership and followership, and respect for our national imperatives and capabilities. And that's really important, especially as you said, kind of when you're going into those positions to support the government. I know this slide you guys got to look at yesterday. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this as we go through. So one of those pieces here that we want to talk about is there's 7 kind of elements to the internship this summer. So we want to talk about personal stories of service. We want to focus on some of those DoD and military career experiences that inspire students to embrace a life of service. Some of you, I know we've got a few folks back here, I think Macy, and I don't see where everybody else went, that are thinking of Zebedee, right? A military career. What inspired you to do that? Did you just wake up one day and say, hey, I want to join the Army? Was there a story that brought you into that? It was your parents or a grandparent or a relative? What are those personal stories that kind of lead you to embrace that? We're going to have virtual and in-talk lunch and learns, 30 minutes where there's questions and answers. So that's kind of part of those pieces there. We'll have for that service and DoD career piece. When we talk about domains and missions, I think Ms. Sonia mentioned yesterday, we're kind of in that air and space domain, but we're growing. We want to see a little bit more of some of those missions, but we want to talk about air and space superiority, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, rapid global mobility, global strikes, command and control. So we want to kind of immerse in the mission mindset through mission and mission system lectures, through Blue Book and a capstone event. And this is all stuff that Ms. Sonia has created. So she's done a wonderful job. Very, very, very blessed and proud to be able to work with her because the things I see are so amazing that you guys are going to be doing this summer. And those of you that may want to do this next summer. Mission system, here just kind of satellites, unmanned aerial systems, radar, integrated air defense systems, SCADA, I would say it wrong, SCADA, industrial control systems, military IoT. I know we talked a little bit about that yesterday. You had somebody here that was talking about IoT. We want to touch on core cyber. So here we're going to look at information technology and system administration, things such as Kali Linux and command line, networking and routing, packet structure and analysis, cybersecurity. We're going to look at CIAAA, attacks and countermeasures, cryptography, mathematics, foundations and practices, and then the roles of AI and ML and big data. When we talk about more here in that core cyber, we're talking offensive cyber operations, reconnaissance, scanning, enumeration, access, stealth and persistence, defensive cyber operations. We're going to talk about protect and avoid, detect, respond, recover. So these are some of those pieces that you're going to see in that program. Core EMS, signal characteristics, receiving and transmitting signals, jamming, spread spectrum hopping. We go into leadership and teamwork. This is a really big piece of the internship. I think you saw that last year, Zach, and you got like, I want to say the infant version, right? Sonia's like really put us up high here. We're really moving into this, but we want to talk about leadership. We've got rotating team leaders each week, providing authentic learning experiences and mechanicisms. We want to have leaders who are responsible for ensuring the team is on time for class, writing assignment submissions, ready for their elevator pitches, things like that. Elevator pitches, we're going to give them speaking events where they're going to have a 5-minute elevator pitch style persuasive talk. And they're not going to know they're going to have to do it. It's, I think we talked about, we're going to kind of pick a name out of a bucket. So I might pick, Zebedee, your name week 1, and on week 3, your name gets picked again. So we don't want it to be kind of like last year where, okay, Zach talked, he's done talking for the whole summer. We want you to be able to have that kind of very quick on-demand ability to speak to folks, because these internships, for the most part, this summer, you're gonna be spending part of the time at AFRL Research Lab. It's a very unique environment. I would say there we're probably 85% civilian and maybe 15%, and maybe I'm even giving us a little bit more for the civilian side. So the uniqueness of AFRL is very different from when you're at a DoD host site, which is going to be predominantly 90% service members and 10% civilians. So we want to make sure that you're available and ready for those speaking engagements. There will be one, you will have a blue book, and then there will be an IEEE paper that you'll write for the whole summer, not a paper every week, as you did last year. And then that blue book is all interns write a blue book for cyber vulnerability assessments that are assigned on the mission and mission system. So it's kind of if I understand everything that Sonia's been teaching about, it's kind of an evolving book, similar to your challenge problems last year, but a little bit different. Let's see, I think, and then there's an assessment. We will work with a pre-test and post-test. So that first week and the first second or third day, we're going to give a quick pre-test. I'm going to take it just because I want to see exactly what it is. I'm probably going to bomb it worse than any of you could. But it's good to kind of give that military knowledge and that cyber and electromagnetic spectrum knowledge. It's not a pass-fail. It just lets our instructors kind of know where everybody sits. And then we want to do one at the end so we can see what you learned. So more importantly, we know you started here, but here's where you ended. For example, last year when the students were writing their technical papers, I think we were at West Point when you guys did your first one, and I think I just deflated every single person in the room when we gave them their scores. I believe the highest score was, a 17 out of 100. And I said, but this is really good, right? Because you've never had to do one before. We sprang this on you for the internship. By the end of the summer, 5 papers later, we were seeing scores in the 80s and 90s. So again, that kind of showed us, we didn't care that you got a 17 or an 18 in that first paper. What we liked was we saw that you were getting between 60s and 80s in those last papers. We saw great leaps of progress. So that's part of that assessment that we'll be doing. This is just a kind of that cadence of what it's going to look like. On Mondays and Fridays, we will have hands-on lectures, learning experiences. That's when the blue book will be done, their drafts, elevator pitches. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday will be their research with their mentors. We've set everybody up in the groups. I know a couple of you asked me yesterday, who am I going to be with? I think Kayla, maybe you asked that question. Kayla, here, right? Okay, I'm starting to learn names. We're gonna be 8 up when we get to summer. This is where you'll work with your mentors, and we'll tell you who your mentors are when you get there. We try not to do that ahead of time or too far ahead of time, because we want to make sure that we make good connections and partnerships with mentors versus students. But this is kind of the cadence of what a typical week looks like. The last week, we do a capstone, and I may need Miss Sonia to help me on this one piece because I'm still not the best explaining capstone, other than I know it's an offense and a defense. We have a high value target. I know last year, I think you guys were a little bit nervous to do this because they went through 7 weeks of learning and thought, I'm not sure I can do this. our ACE program, which is our advanced course in engineering, they actually hosted this for us. And they said to me, you know, Jennifer, no one's going to do this. We're going to let them work through it, but it's very unlikely that anybody will find the high value target and let alone do a strike that was going to, I don't know, is it killing the high value target? I was like, okay, great. And they did this for 2 days. And on the very last day, we had a team, and I don't know if you were on the team or not. Were you on the team that officially they didn't win, but if unofficially they did, because apparently they found the target, but you weren't able to drop the strike because time ran out. And the team that presented this for us was very surprised that the teams even made it that far. So that was really impressive. I think they had a really good time, but this will happen for 2 days. And then this is our last week. So we do 2 days, I believe Wednesday and Thursday, we do the capstone. And then we do on Friday, we do a career day. So we'll invite folks from the community. We'll invite some of our instructors. We'll invite some of the DoD host sites that are going to be looking at you guys for positions next year if you're able to come back. And then we'll have graduation. Our future aim, just to give you a quick heads up, our program's growing so exponentially. I know we talked about this at Symposium with Dr. Van Wee, but we are now looking to kind of upstart an internship program just like this with Army and Navy. The one thing that's really unique about Viceroy is we are not just Air Force and Space Force. We want to see this in, because we are for all armed forces. We want to have a program just like Maven that's going to be at an Army host site and a Navy host site. So that's what we're working on right now. Just a few metrics for our internship summer this year. Last year I had 21 interns. I was begging, borrowing, and stealing where to find interns from. This year we had so many apply, we can't bring everybody in. But it just gives you a nice piece here. We've got 63 accepted interns. We had 13 females, 14 interns come to us from that diversity, hitting some of those DEI metrics. So we're really excited about that. So kind of what I have here too, just a little bit here. This is Mississippi, our host site at Keesler Air Force Base. We have San Antonio, Texas. I don't think this is right on the map. I think San Antonio is more over here. I live there. I think that's not quite correct. But San Antonio, JBSA, we've got 3 interns going there. Eglin Air Force Base in the Panhandle of Florida, my home, where I'm from. We have 5 interns there. And this year we have 2 at Keyport that'll be spending time at Keyport Naval Undersea Warfare Center. That's our first naval base that we've got. So we're very excited about that. So next summer, I hope to have 10 more sites on here. That's my goal. And I think that's pretty much all I have for the slides, because this is just a pipeline. So what I'd like to do is see if you guys have questions for me, or questions about the internship, or how do I get into it, or what can I do, or how do you find host sites? You know, what would you like to know about an internship or Viceroy? Yes.
So you mentioned that the first internship is in New York and the second one is on a host site.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously the second internship helps, but if you are only able to do the first internship, is that
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. So the way that we built the program, and I know Dr. Van Wee said this a little bit earlier when he mentioned that he and I didn't know a whole lot in the beginning either, is when OUSD decided that this was a mission that they had and they funded it, I've loved to say many times we're building the ship as we sail it, right? So we kind of said, okay, this is what we want to do. We put it in place and we realized, okay, this is what we want to do, and we're okay at it, but we could be better if we implemented a few more pieces. So we've been learning as we go. Typically, this is for undergrads, and we do have a few graduate students we've worked with, but our goal really is to kind of try to hit as many freshmen and sophomores and freshmen as we can. Because what we like to do is have that, that building up effect, right? Bring them in as freshmen. I call them froshmores. That's my new word, by the way. Bring them in those first two years of school, do that first year internship. We work around for any of you that are ROTC, if you have to do field training. I know last year we sent Jake and Aaron off for field training. We can work around field training, bring you in for those years. And then as you go into that next year or your junior year, you've got that second year host site. Then we can bring you back as a GA, a graduate assistant. Or you know, in some cases, we've got a few juniors and seniors that'll come in and we just bring them in for the 1 year. So that's our goal, but it doesn't mean that's how it'll work for every single person. Long answer for your question. So thank you. And are you coming with us this summer? What was your name?
Sam, I wasn't able.
Okay.
To make it this
Are you able to apply for next summer?
year.
Great, great. Any other questions, comments, thoughts? Yes.
I apologize if I misunderstood. For the capstone,
Mhm.
is it gonna be like one red team and one going at it, or are we all as students?
So I'm going to try to answer this and I'll let Miss Sonia tell me if I'm right, because what it is we'll have small teams of probably 3 to 4 that are all trying to do the same thing, right? And there'll be a team here, you'll just be split into sets of 3 or 4 and you're all trying to do the exact same thing. Now, do I remember correctly that they can sometimes mess with the other teams when they're doing it?
In the general capstone, yes, but I'm not sure for this particular.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking. I think ACE does it, but I think
Yeah,
we're
they do.
just all competing against each other to hit the high value target.
Yeah.
No, very good question. Any other questions? Comments? Yes.
So, your first slide said that freshman and sophomore, that seems to be your emphasis. Out of the 63, how many are freshman, sophomore, how many are senior, sophomore?
We've got a very big mix. So that slide, like I said, that's our goal, but it's never going to be the end all be all. We took quite a few juniors and seniors this year. We simply look at the resumes as they come in. And we, like I said, our goal, because as you know, that's kind of that goal that came out from OUSD, but it's not what stops us, or it's not what really drives who we take. At the end of the day, Miss Sonia and her team, we look at all the resumes. She then goes in and she's like, okay, these are the right ones. I don't even think she really looks at junior, senior, sophomore. She just gets them based on how they look on paper and if they're a good fit for the program.
The only reason we target freshmen as sophomores is because we want to provide you with more opportunities.
More
for
opportunities.
internships.
Right.
That's the only reason. By the time you're a senior, then, you don't have the opportunity to go out and do what you people say. So,
Right.
We are perfectly happy to have, juniors and seniors, not a problem at all, but then you just have reduced opportunities.
And in some cases, we've taken a few graduate students. Sometimes we find that we've had a few students that are working on their masters, and we found different places for them. It may not be as a Maven, it may just be as a straight research only 10-week internship. So we're very good at working with what we see and making sure that if someone really meets that criteria, that we can do it. And by opening up now Army and Navy, we'll be able to take more folks. Our problem this year was we had 108 applications, and we could only take, our limit was, I think we started at 50, right? And we ended up adding a few, and finally the powers was like, okay, stop. We can only take so many, because if we had 70, we can't give you a great learning experience either. Yes, Nicated, right?
Yeah. For 3 days, you're kind of doing research like in the lab. What goes on? What type of projects?
That's a really good question. So you could be doing research either at the lab with your mentors, or it could be at the Griffiss Institute. So it's not everyone will have to be over at the lab. That's a kind of a hard question to answer right this moment, because I can't remember right off the top of my head where you're scheduled and what mentor you have. But your mentors are going to work very closely with you. We set it up so that mentors have to be present to at least talk to you, 1 day a week. They may kind of bring you in and say, okay, here's the project we're working on. Here's what we want to do. They may set it up. Some will do kind of like daily scrums. They'll have a daily meet with you. Some will say we'll do it weekly. It's going to be really up to that mentor. I will tell you though, we've got a really, really top-notch group of mentors that have been doing it for quite a while, and they're very passionate about what they do. But it's, an example, maybe you're working on a team. Yeah, because you're going to be much
So,
better
like,
with technical part.
Yeah, so for example, we have an Internet of Things team
Yeah.
that has worked with interns in the past. They're fantastic. They love working with interns. And so they'll have their interns be doing kind of hands-on experimentation with a variety of Internet of Things devices. So they have like, I sat right next to them. They have a whole bunch of different devices that are Internet of Things sensors, actuators. And so that team, I think it's maybe a team of 4 that's going to be working with that IoT team will be working on those projects. Another example project, I had mentioned yesterday about Space Force and their interest in wearables. Well, one of the gentlemen who's been working on that project is looking for interest to help him analyze some of those wearable devices. And so they'll be doing a little bit of first engineering and exploring in that area. So those are a couple example projects. But we really look for things that are hands-on, where there's a strong technical component, because we don't want our interns, just writing a bunch of reports. We want you guys to get some hands-on experience with technology.
Right. Zach, what team were you on last year?
Oh, I was on the skate up team.
Okay. Can you maybe just give a minute of kind of like what you guys did? I know you met every week, a couple of days a week. Is there anything you could impart to the folks about what that looked like for you?
Yeah, so my experience kind of as an intern with the research part, Lieutenant AG, he was very busy,
Yep.
But he tried to at least meet with us once a week. And so we would meet with the other interns in our group quite a few times a week. And we would go to the library in the AFRL, and we would go there and we would research and work on our project together.
Great, thank you. But very good question, thank you.
So for going forward in the future, previous year I saw, will you be having a broader staff? Or is it going to be limited to?
So I'm just gonna speak in the grand scheme of things, because we don't know yet if we're gonna get sites, but the goal, the hope is that we can get 2 more sites and put at least 50 at that site, 50 at our site, and 50 at the other site for a total of 150. Now, that's still all that piece that we're building that ship as we sail it, so we're not sure yet, but that's the hope for us, because that allows us to meet those numbers that Congress would like to see as far as seeing the folks come in as more qualified and ready to support that mission. You had a question?
Yeah, super quick, for the mentors, is it a group with each mentor or is it individual?
Typically, it's a group.
Okay.
We've got so many of you that typically they're all going to be group. We might have a few that are just maybe a small group, like 1 or 2 people. But for the most part, we're trying to keep it between that 3 to 5, because it allows you to, as the students, to work well together, right? If you've got a mentor that maybe is very busy and doesn't have as much time to give, they can come in, they can meet with you, give some direction, and the 4 or 5 of you together can really work on what that direction is.
Yeah, the recommendation we put out our call for mentors is, groups between 2 to 5, because it's never
Yeah.
great to be that single student coming in and kind of working by yourself on a project. So that's ideal, but we don't know if we want, but I think almost all of them are.
Almost all of them, and we are doing something, again, as we grow, we learn different ways to do things. Where Rome is located, we have a lot of defense industrial base companies right outside of the gate. So we're looking at a few of those too that maybe may want to come in and help mentor students and stuff. Yeah. Any other questions, comments? I think we're kind of right on time. We've got a few minutes. All right. Well, I think that's pretty much everything I have for the internship. I can say this though, it is competitive. We do, I think we also pay our interns very well. I think this is a piece that's really important. Our first year interns come in at $22 an hour. Our second year interns come in at $24 an hour. And then if you come back as a GA, we pay $29 an hour. What we also include is travel. So we make sure that if you, it's up to $1,500 if you want to drive. We'll give you up to $1,500 if you're driving from, say, Montana. You're probably hitting that $1,500, but you get that in your very first paycheck. We also cover housing. This is very unique. A lot of intern programs do not cover it. We cover your housing. We one of the things we did last year when we had the 21 interns, we really asked them, be honest with us. Tell us what we could do better. Tell us what didn't go well. Tell us how we can make the intern experience better for those coming in. And we really asked you guys to be very honest with us. Don't hurt, you're not going to hurt our feelings. And the one thing I tried to do last year was feed you guys, right? Because you had a dorm and dorms are kind of picky what you can do. And the dorm didn't have food services. Well, this year the dorm has agreed to open up food services for us. So this year we're able to supply the interns with a 100 meal plan. So those of you that are coming to Rome are going to get a 100 meal plan. You can get those meals any way you want to, and they're open 7 days a week. So if you want to get breakfast, you can do breakfast. If you want to do breakfast and dinner, it's up to you how you do those 100. After that, if you want more, you can purchase that out of your own pocket if you wanted to get, if you a 50 meal plan, a 75 meal plan, and 100. We went with 100 because we felt that gives you pretty good coverage. If you, for example, when we go to West Point, if you want them to make you a box lunch, you just let them know and they'll make that for you. The only thing that's a little unique, and I know right now I'm kind of talking to those that are going to be there, but for any of you for next year, is you cannot go in, like say, Caleb and Zebedee, you guys want to go in together. Is it Tyler, and Adam, and Jacob, and then I have McCaden, Alan, did I miss Natalie? And right, you guys are all coming this summer. So if you guys say you get together in the morning and you're like, oh, let's go grab some breakfast, but you know, Caleb, you're like, I'm not gonna eat breakfast, but I'm gonna go in and sit with them. The minute you scan in, they charge you for a meal. So it's probably similar to how you guys do things here. So once you scan your card, a meal is deducted. So just be careful of that. So that just going in to sit down with your friends in the morning will take a meal out of your plate. You have questions?
Yeah, I was just wondering, so the dorm itself, is it near other like food places? Like say you wanted to walk and I don't know, get a pizza or something, could you?
So to walk to go get food is probably not ideal where the dorm is located. However, I have one of the best marketing and events team going, and they are working on food trucks this summer. Come be present. They bring them into, last year we had them all summer long. They bring them into the GI and we're working to have those same food trucks throughout the year. But most of the time we have a very good mix of folks who drive their own vehicles. And then we also offer a bus Monday through Friday that will take you if you want to from the dorms to work and then pick you up in the afternoon and take you back to the dorms. We cover that as well. But a lot of times we see folks kind of make friends with each other. They're like, hey, we do a Walmart run, we do a Price Chopper run or Hannaford run to kind of get together, go do it together. They're not far from the dorm, so there are places to eat that are probably maybe 5-7 minutes away. The dorm is Mohawk Valley Community College. And there's a lot to do there too. I think this year, actually, they're going to allow us to use the pool and the track. And then once you get your Deacon's card, those of you that will be on site, you also are allowed to use the gym at the airport research line. So you'll have access to that as well. I think that covers everything. Food, housing, travel, and we will send you by airplane, we'll send you by train, or you can drive. It's all up to you.
So to recap, you provide transportation there and housing.
Yep.
100 people. And then the 22 $24 a month.
Yeah, if they're around, it'll be $22. Yeah.
Sorry, what am I saying? An hour.
An hour. Yeah.
And then the additional meals come out of their $20 hours.
They would just pay for it themselves. They'll have access to the dorm folks if they want to get that one. They would just, we will say hands off of that because we're taking care of the other pieces. They would just let the folks know. We'll make sure they know where to go to get that if they wanted to buy additional meals. They've got their food place is pretty good. They've got 3 little kind of bars and we're going to put menus out in your dorms. We did ask them to put refrigerators in the dorms. This time you're in Dortery Hall, which is a 3-story dorm. So it'll be co-ed, but it'll be one dorm. And the one thing we learned from last summer is our interns, they're required to stay in the dorms. We're not going to do where we let some find their own housing. It makes sense because they can put about 5 to 8 hours in off the clock. That's why we kind of raised up the rates, kind of they're working on the book or they're working together. There is a small amount of time, nothing like last year, but there is still that small amount of time. So it makes sense to have everybody together. So we have made it mandatory now that they must work together. Yeah, so we do. And there's lots of places to go. Upstate New York, I don't have any of you kind of looked at, have you guys started to look to see what's up there? I know the girls have been talking to Katie and Mackenzie on Discord. That's another thing, we use Discord to communicate. There's a lot to do up there. We are really centrally located, hence central New York, but it's 3 hours to Buffalo. If you want to go to Niagara Falls, it's about 5 hours to the city. You can drive it in 5 hours, or you can ride a train in 5 hours, they both get you in the same amount of time. We're close to DC's 5 hours away. There's a lot of different places you can go on weekend trips and things like that. So there's a lot to, plus lots of hiking state parks, hiking trails. The Adirondacks is 40 minutes away. There's a treetop place. There's so much that you can actually do out there. So yeah, that's what we've got. So
I'm not
thank
cutting
you.
off. Any other
No.
questions?
We're good.
I just want to be upfront to take over when you're done. So, excellent. We so much appreciate this program. That's just really awesome.
Well,
So,
we appreciate it too. It's the one thing I tell everybody that Viceroy will be my legacy when I retire in a few years. And I'm so excited to have something I can say I was a part of that, because it's going to go on when I finish working, and it makes me very proud. And I will tell you this though, I will hound you. Part of my job is to make sure I tell OUSD where you all end up. So after the internship's over, like those of you going into active duty, I'm going to say, hey, where are you? What are you doing? What's your MOS? Because this is how we continue to bring the funding in for, so far we've got just under $40 million. This is what helps keep that funding going. So I will hound you. I will follow up with you and say, Zach, where are you working? Zebedee, you're at Pensacola NAS. When you leave there, where are you going to go? Tyler, where are you going? That's part of it, because these are the things that help them continue to fund those chunks of money so we can keep doing what we do. We're bringing on 7 new universities. Actually, I should say 7 prime universities. So that list I showed you, that map is growing. They're in the works. We're going to have a total of 43 universities that are part of the Viceroy program. So we're really excited. We're probably going to make that announcement while you guys are at the GI. So it'll be fun when we get to officially announce all the other universities. So we're really excited.
so the need is great. And, the hour is to protect, develop, protect, and be able to sustain a great life for our country and good benefits to the world as well.
Yes.
So you'll be part of that.
So come see me. I've got some Viceroy stuff, plus a Viceroy webcam cover, courtesy of Mr. Mayshay. He said, I want webcam covers. And we got them again. And we have beautiful ties, don't we, Dr. Van Week? For anybody who wants to wear
Oh,
ties.
that's right. That's right.